Hey everybody, welcome once again to another year-end review for Low on Health. This is going to be for 2021, happening a little bit later. We're recording this actually in the middle of 2022. But this one we're going to be covering the TV that we watched. In which case, once again, we watched a decent amount of TV.
There's a lot of good TV in 2021.
We also gave up on a lot of TV.
Yeah,
just because so much is being produced.
Why waste our time?
If we think we're not going to watch something or like something, and we've actually done that a lot more in this current year in 2022, where we'll give something a couple episodes and maybe give up on it, or we'll get people's opinions on it, and we'll be on the fence, and then they'll usually solidify if it's worth our time or not. But without further ado, let me just go ahead and jump to the list here. Here we got. So for 2021, we watched roughly 35 TV shows. They're ranging between 8 episodes to 12 episodes, or half an hour. So it's really hard to even quantify them. But nonetheless, the top for the last year is going to be Arcane.
Arcane was excellent. I'm sure you heard that a million times already from other people,
which is fantastic. The animation quality is great. The story is great. It's on Netflix, which makes it second most accessible to anything on Amazon.
Visually absolutely stunning, and the series does really cool things with music too. The music that's featured in it is used very well.
And I will say this to anybody I talk to, because the first thing out of mostly everybody's mouth is, I don't care or know anything about League of Legends.
You don't need to.
Nobody knew anything. Nobody read the Witcher books and they watched the series. Nobody read the Game of Thrones books and watched Game of Thrones.
It's don't use that as an excuse to think that you won't like something. You don't have to know anything whatsoever about League of Legends or any of the characters. The show is so good, it tells you everything that you need to know, as a good show should.
I would even argue everybody that's now Marvel fans, which are fine, watching Marvel movies, which is fine, they never read the source material. The majority of the fans never read the source material.
Yeah, it's not. If you're watching a good show or a good movie, it's not. You could get more out of it, potentially, having read or watched or played the source material, but it's not necessary if something is good enough, and Arcane is excellent.
I just think people like to use it as an excuse as to not watch something.
Which is fine. If you want to, and you can also just say, no, I just don't want to watch it. I don't think I would find it interesting, or I don't have time. That's valid too.
But just don't let the whole I don't know what this is about. Nobody knows what most of anything is about before they watch it if it's based on something.
Don't think that will impact.
And it shouldn't stop you from watching Arcane, because it is fantastic. Once again, it's on Netflix. Everybody should definitely watch it. The second one is going to be What We Do in the Shadows. Like I said, in the movies one, we watched the movie of this and then watched the TV show. And I don't know if we watched the movie because we're going to watch the TV show, or we were just going to watch all of it. I forget.
I think we might have even watched some of the TV show and then watched
maybe saw
the
clips.
movie.
I don't recall.
Think.
It's still just really good and great.
It's about vampires being really stupid, and it's really
contemporary
funny.
Vampires. And I can't believe there's gonna be another season, so we'll be watching that in 2022.
Considering the way that the last season ended, I'm not surprised that there is a new season.
I am surprised.
They set it up though that there needed to be more, and I don't think it'll be bad. So.
Well, I don't think it'll be too bad. The next one is going to be Ted Lasso, which everybody had been recommending to me forever. You hear Ted Lasso is great. You kind of tune it out. It's on, I think, Apple, so not everybody has access to it, even though if you buy a new Apple device, half the time you get Apple Plus anyway. But it is great. It
really is. It was just wholesome and nice and good, and it made you feel good to watch.
Produced really well. Great characters. Just
fantastic
nice characters.
acting.
It only starts to do kind of a bad swerve type thing towards the end of the second season, but otherwise,
and that's one character.
And otherwise, it's just great about just good people trying to do good things, and
it really is.
It's just really nice. And
if you're sick of all of the grim dark content, you definitely should give Ted Lasso a watch. You're oh. But I don't know anything about European football. You don't need to.
Well, neither did Ted, in theory. So, but
it's part of the fun.
But the idea is, once again, just because you don't, that doesn't stop you from enjoying it. But yeah, Ted Lasso, it is good, as everybody says it is.
It's very good.
And if you want a new breath of fresh air of not a drama-laced, negative, dramatic, bad things happening show, Ted Lasso is just great. Next thing we got there is going to be Invincible. Which is just kind of your new fun, classic, gruesome, violent comic book adaptation movie or TV show.
It's superheroes with a ultra-violent twist.
Which is really great. I mean, if you like The Boys, you'll like Invincible. Oddly enough, I just was kind of realizing this. More people have access to like The Boys and Invincible than they do like Netflix. I imagine more people subscribe to Amazon but don't use Amazon Video than they do Netflix. So there's actually a lot of shows on Amazon that people should probably give a look at, and I think Invincible is definitely one of them.
Also, the voice acting in Invincible is stellar, and I forget the name of the voice actor that does the main character, but both him and the main character's father, they're excellent voice actors.
The next one we have there is the
Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Well, this I think is just literally called Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Is it?
Because I think there's He-Man. There's like 3 new He-Man animated properties, CG and 2D, so it gets very muddled. But the Masters of the Universe, I think this is also on Netflix. It's just really great because it doesn't really focus on He-Man at all.
Barely.
And it's just really, really, really good. Like, usually we don't care about He-Man at all. But the story, the characters are just great. And it is a great story, has decent swerves, it's just really good. And I just think a lot of people are just going to pass over it because they're going to think it's a stupid He-Man thing. Like, if I would have mentioned this, you would have been like, no. Just like Voltron, you were like...
I would have been like, eh.
Yeah, but then start watching it.
But then I got obsessed with Voltron.
Yeah,
so.
But then we start watching it and it's like, surprise, this is actually really good. And once again, we'll give it a couple episodes. We hear some good things, or not even that. We'll just give it a chance. Give things a chance. Don't like it, just keep moving on. Dota, Dragon's Blood. Once again, do we know anything really about Dota that much? The game series or even anything about it?
I knew it was a Warcraft mod.
Yeah.
That's all I knew about Dota. But then it's very good.
But other than that, this is just a good classic animated show.
And that's from the same animation studio that did Voltron, Studio Mir. So the animation in Dota is fantastic and the visuals are really great.
But we just want to recommend a lot of these animated, and they are relatively mature TV series. They're not just the cartoons as most people knew that by now, but some people don't. To the point where like you don't need to know anything about Dota. Some people still don't know that there's a Castlevania animated series on Netflix. And
I don't know how.
And you don't. And once again, you don't have to know anything about Castlevania as long as you understand the concept of like vampires. No different than you understand the concept of like dragons. You understand the basics of stuff. That's all you need.
I don't know why people think, like, oh, I have to know the source material. That's not a barrier to entry. I don't know why people think that.
But we would recommend the new Castlevania series on Netflix, which is like
fantastic.
4 seasons. It's all fantastic.
Pretty sure that was in our top 10 for
whenever
TV.
it came out.
Yeah, whenever, because we watched it immediately. Speaking of watching things, the next thing on our list is The Watch.
And once again, The Watch is just...
Is it Terry Pratchett? I think it's based on Terry Pratchett.
I don't recall off the top of my head, but
I'm pretty sure
this falls in line of like our Doom Patrol love, where it's essentially like this is like a series that nobody is watching, but it is just very good. The main lead is fantastic.
Oh my god, his character is so entertaining.
Once again, if you're able to watch The Watch, it is just really good to watch.
Yeah.
Very entertaining. Next one is Star Wars Visions. So we got the classic Star Wars anthology of stuff, all the other anthology stuff we've had in the past. And as such, in those you have your highs and your lows, ones you really like, ones you don't like, one that's done by the studio you love, one done that's a really cool animation style. It's worth watching. I mean, if you're at Disney Plus, there's no reason why you shouldn't watch Star Wars Visions.
If you like anime and you like Star Wars, even vaguely, I would recommend watching Star Wars Visions. It's entertaining.
Next, I got the Mysterious Benedict Society. So this is kind of like your young YA type of, or even lesser than that type of movie, TV show. But yeah, I don't know why I was really drawn to it. I think it kind of did remind me, it had a little bit of a vein of like a Wes Anderson feel to it from its style.
I didn't dislike it, to be clear. I just generally don't care that much about most aimed at young adult properties.
But no, I thought it was
just a personal preference.
It was entertaining.
It wasn't bad whatsoever.
So as we scroll down, we're now going to go through all the series that we watched that year, in which case the first couple ones are what we just talked about, which is cool when we let things bulk up like Ted Lasso. Even what we do in the shadows is we can basically watch all those seasons back to back to back to back. We don't have to wait. Let's see what we got here. Lupin. There's the Netflix live action Lupin series, which was Disenchantment still going on. American Gods still going on, but we can definitely tell that
American Gods.
Yeah. Falcon and Winter Soldier, which was probably no, there's more that we watched of that, but maybe the last kind of one that it let us know that, hey, this might not be getting as good as we want it to be.
It's more long in the tooth than is necessary.
Yeah. Let's see what else you got here. Girls Forever. There's Castlevania Season 4. So that is, like I said, still going on. MODOK was meh. Resident Alien. A lot of Season 2s and Season 3s of stuff.
Resident Alien was funny.
Loki was good. What else we got here? Dave, which I think is one of the first TV series we gave up on, just because, yeah, it was just a little bit crude. Like, I didn't really enjoy it as much as. Let me do this real quick. Go ahead and minimize the zoom in on that. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, we weren't really digging it as much, so we just kind of gave up on it. We loved the first season, but for some reason the second season we couldn't just get behind. School Nurse Files, What If, which is another one of the Marvel ones.
Dude, the School Nurse Files is a really interesting Korean comedy
fantasy
drama.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's really neat. It's about a school nurse that can see like
spirits,
supernatural things. Well, it's not even.
Yeah.
It's not just that,
Yeah.
but it's really cool. Like Mushishi vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
But in a school setting.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something different, definitely check that out. It was really good.
We also got Tuca and Birdie, Lower Decks. Once again, a lot of extra seasons of stuff because that's how TV shows work. And usually whenever we put something in our top 10, that's usually because that's the first time we've watched it. We usually don't put subsequent series.
Subsequent seasons of things.
And then, of course, the Cowboy Bebop Netflix, the
Or
live
Cowboy
action.
Bebop Netflix.
Kind of gave up on it, but we did watch all of it. But I was skipping through episodes, skipping past all the Vicious stuff and Juliet stuff because it made no sense whatsoever. And I was a very strong advocate for it, like very early on. I was like, no, it's not as bad as everybody says it is because I hadn't finished watching it yet. Because it kind of starts off strong, they're doing their own thing, but then eventually, it just gets not good, and it's very just sad to see them do that.
It was fantastic at the start, in our opinion, but then like it really, really failed to stick the landing.
And then the same thing with Animaniacs, like we liked it.
Well, no, that wasn't the same thing with Animaniacs. We liked it, but it felt like it was exactly the same as it used to be, which is perfectly
fine. Or even the same
fine.
as the first season. It just.
But we were just like, we're just not interested in that anymore, which is fine. It was still fantastic, but we were just like,
meh.
We don't care anymore.
And then, of course, Witcher 2 was okay. I still like Season 1 more. And then DuckTales finally ended, in which case we always say that this reboot is like one of the best reboots that none of our friends are watching.
It really
Let's
is.
see if I can actually move out to the end of it here,
fantastic.
because the end is just fantastic as I just randomly click around. But yeah, so I'm going to play the end here, which I don't care. If I'm spoiling the end, it's not even spoiling the end because the series is still just great.
Well, hopefully the big D doesn't
We'll see what happens.
Flag
it. This is fair use, hopefully. But yeah, the DuckTales animated series is just great. The reboot is the best reboot, the most perfect use of nostalgia. It had to do everything. Introduce new characters, bring back old characters, bring depth to characters. If you have Disney, I don't know, I believe it's on Disney Plus, watch it. If you have kids, watch it with your kids. If you remember DuckTales when you were a kid, give it a watch. It is solid.
If I remember correctly, the very first episode or the very first season, I don't remember which, is free on YouTube, I think, the whole thing. I think it's the first episode. At the very least, it might be the whole first season, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
so good.
It's
just the animation, the acting, the writing, like, pretty sure every single time we watched it, every single episode, we were just like, oh, it was really good.
Like, whenever if I ever do this, which I could eventually do at this point, do a breakdown of, like, top 10 of a decade of each of my categories. This would be in it. This could very much be the TV show of the decade.
It could very well be.
I find it very difficult to find one that sustained more than 3+ seasons of good that will stick around, that did everything well.
Oh, it just does everything right. It really just does everything right.
So once again, this is the very ending of it. So yeah, I'm spoiling it for anybody who's gonna watch this. But
well, I mean, what's the big spoiler? No one dies. Yeah. I mean, it's DuckTales.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is our TV for the year for 2021, which was last year for us right now. We're recording. Yeah, and just we're once again. I guess if I could say anything, watch DuckTales because I'm gonna still always say that.
Yeah,
and
watch DuckTales.
Arcane.
And Arcane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both are relatively still kid friendly. I don't think Arcane's too edgy. Like it might be like a PG-13. It might be rated Emmy.
People get shot. It doesn't show a whole lot of graphic violence. It shows a little.
But
teenagers.
Yeah.
Be
But
perfectly
I definitely
fine to watch it.
recommend a lot of those shows, and mainly those two. So, as always, thanks everybody for watching, and we will catch you next time.